Let's now dive into text and article analysis. So in this lesson, we're going to talk about finding articles online that you want to learn about that are dense in the nature of how much text there is to go through. And we're going to see how we can use ChatGPT to paste URL links directly from articles into the platform and summarize it so that you can get the information you're looking for much more quickly. We're going to start with this James Webb Telescope article. And the title is Why the First Webb Telescope Images Mean So Much for Scientists. And as we scroll through here, we can see it's pretty extensive. There's also other parts of this web page that we don't want to put into ChatGPT. Obviously, there's ads, there's other sections for other articles, and there's other text going on. But we're going to go ahead and grab this URL, and I'm going to go to ChatGPT, and I'm going to paste this in, and I'm going to ask it to summarize the most important information from this article into 10 bullet points. And what ChatGPT is going to do is going to take the title, it's going to take only the information that we want, and it's going to break that down into the bullet points that we requested. And so as you know, here's our bullet point list. We can generate a new response. We can open up and dive into further detail any of the specific points. And we can also ask ChatGPT to define whatever parts of this breakdown that we want. For example, what is a mid-infrared instrument? And what is a near-infrared spectrograph? If we want more elaboration on those things, we can copy them, put them into ChatGPT, and it's going to give us a breakdown. So there's our definition of a near-infrared spectrograph. And the next thing that we can do to take this one step further is to ask ChatGPT to take the 10 most important keywords in the original article that I shared and define them. Let's see what we get. Now we have a bullet point list of the top 10 most important keywords from our original article. And for this example, I'm not going to break down any of these further, but what I want to do is ask what other events and information that's related to this topic that I should learn. So here's the list that it gave me. It gave me more details on the James Webb Space Telescope. It also talked a little bit about the Hubble Space Telescope, that how it was the successor to that telescope, and a few other events. But honestly, what I would rather get are other related key points in history and other topics related to NASA and these types of similar space events. So let's change our prompt to what are 10 other historical and significant events different from the James Webb Space Telescope that someone interested in space would want to know. Let's see what we come up with. Perfect, and we have our list of other important, significant events in the same genre of information. Now, lastly, what I want to do is, because it's mentioning the Hubble telescope again and how the James Webb was a successor to this first piece of technology, what I wanted to do to further synthesize this information is compare the similarities and differences of the James Webb Space Telescope and the Hubble Space Telescope. Explain the differences in simple terms that the average person would understand and find interesting. Perfect, and here's our comparison between these two pieces of technology. It compares the size, the wavelength, the location, the purpose, the instruments, and the launch. So a ton of really interesting things you can do with this tool. So here we go. Let's talk about solving some complex math problems that would either take quite a bit of time on your calculator or quite a bit of looking on Google to find the right website to help you solve some of these problems. The first thing I want to start with is this prompt that's very practical for my specific use case. If I want to create an online course in 30 days with 65 lessons and 17 learning exercises, how many lessons do I have to complete per day? And separately, how many learning exercises do I need to complete every single day in order to finish everything in the 30-day window? So we have our answers here, and what ChatGPT started with was the formula that it used and then the answers to the equation. So it's telling me that I'm gonna need to complete 2.17, so it shows the decimal, of lessons per day to hit my 30-day window. And for the learning exercises, out of 17 for the 30 days, I need to complete half a day or one every 2 days to hit my goal. I could then put this into my calendar, put it into my schedule, and use these numbers to make sure that I hit my goals. And for the next equation, let's do this. If I want to make 300K this year, how much money do I have to make per day, excluding weekends and holidays? There are online calculators that you can find that will do something similar, but having these answers all in one place with your past conversations logged adds a really easily way to find the information that you looked up in the past and just keeps everything organized in one place. So here's our answer. For 300,000 with 365 days per year, I would have to make $821 per day. And with the non-working days subtracted from this, aka weekends and holidays, the amount that I would have to make per day is a whopping number of $1,096. And to take this even one step further, you could ask ChatGPT, what is the best way to make $1,000 per day? It'll pop out answers and you can further refine and get more different ideas that you might not already be using to hit your goals. So just another reason to use ChatGPT over some of the other tools out there. Now let's go on to our next prompt. What is the formula to convert USD to Euro with a Google Sheets expression? So this is a slightly different than our previous equations, but it's gonna actually give us the code and the way to do this inside of Google Sheets. So that's pretty sweet. It gave us the code and it gave us the way to more effectively use Google Sheets. And I want to add one last example with Excel. So what is an Excel expression to calculate a depreciating asset at 23% depreciation per year? And just like that, ChatGPT gave us the formula to use inside of Excel, and it also gave us an example. So it says, let's say you have an asset that initially costs $10,000 and you want to calculate its value after 5 years of depreciation at 23% per year. The formula would be right here, we have it, and this would return a value of $2,997.11, which represents the value of the asset after 5 years of depreciation at 23% per year. So this is an excellent tool for coming up with formulas for other tools that you can use to solve these more complex math problems while still saving time.
Thanks for watching the video till the end. Please leave your thoughts below so we can discuss more about the topic. If you'd like to suggest a video that could help the community, feel free to message me on X or Instagram. We also share short videos on Instagram, so make sure to follow us there. Feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you, and might even create a video based on your suggestion. Thanks again for being part of our community. See you in the next video.